And good morning, all. It is Mr. Cowan here to help you with the very start of our pre algebra class. Lesson 1 1 and 1 2, that means chapter 1, lessons 1 and 2. We're going to title this Algebraic Expressions. Like that cartoon, algebra is weightlifting for the brain. So let's start working out and growing, shall we? First off, I want to talk about our objectives for today. You'll find that in the blue. We are both going to write, focus on that action word, and we're going to evaluate, keyword meaning find the final value, for algebraic expressions. Going to be difference between numeric expressions and algebraic expressions. Now, take everything that you've learned before. You know what variable is, I hope. You know what order of operations are. So we're going to take our previous ideas that we've learned, and now we're going to do, instead of numeric expressions, we're going to do algebraic expressions. Eventually, we'll move into solving algebraic equations, but not there yet. If I could ask you to pause, please. Now, anytime we do these videos, you may ignore the date and write whatever today's date is or when the date is that this is assigned. And usually I might cross this off and say whatever the assignment number is for this year. Of course, I'm pretty sure everybody's going to have assignment 1. Can I invite you, please pause the video, copy everything that you see on your paper for notes, and then when you're ready to get into notes, unpause the video and we shall commence. All right, ladies and gents, let's talk about some vocabulary first. I hope you've heard the term variable. Remember, please, that a variable is a symbol or a letter that represents a number. Often we use X, Y, Z. You could use Greek letters as well. You could use any symbol that you want, but usually we'll use letters in the English alphabet. Now, algebraic expressions consist of one or more numbers and variables. That's what makes it algebraic. It's going to have not just numbers, but variables, along with one or more arithmetic operations. For instance, a plus 2. You see a variable, you see a symbol, you see a number. It has variables and numbers in. 7x minus 3, or even 5mn over 3k. Now, I will encourage you henceforth to write division with this. It almost looks like a fraction bar, but we're going to get into some more algebra stuff. Let's start writing division like algebra students should. If you need to, pause. That's the nice part about videos. Pause, rewind if you want to listen again, copy down what you need. Just rejoin us whenever you are ready. So we're going to talk about meaningful words in algebra. For instance, I'm going to start off with this table and I'm going to do all the red words, and then underneath them are orange words and underneath them are yellow words. So let's just talk. What does that word remain? If I want to find out how much is remaining, we're going to be subtracting. So I'm going to put that over in the subtract box. Meanwhile, the word longer, if something gets longer, we're going to be increasing or adding. Bigger sounds quite a bit like longer. We're going to add those two quantities. If you want to know how much something has elapsed, time for instance, take the final amount and subtract the other. Now at this point, I'm going to invite you, if you'd like, either continue on with the video or pause, put in each of the 4 orange words where they belong, and then press unpause and come back for the next set of words. Minus naturally will mean subtract, and less than means we're going to take away or get smaller. If we're finding the perimeter of something, we're adding all the lengths of every edge of a polygon. And combine, of course, means add. Again, you may pause if you want, or we'll continue. Putting things all together is going to be add, while fewer means it is going to decrease or subtract. And speaking of subtract, that would go there. In all means we're going to put everything together. Pause and come on back. More and longer. I would also argue that if we're looking for something total, we would increase. Meanwhile, decrease is going to go there. Now, some could make an argument for how much, if you say how much longer, then you're going to decrease or subtract 2 quantities. But if you're saying something gets longer, it would increase. Deduct is another word for subtract. Plus would be add. Less is going down or decreasing. And how much do you have left? Well, you're going to take away a quantity. Last but not least, sum and difference are two words you'll hear quite a bit. Difference meaning subtract, some mean add. If something is getting smaller, you would of course go down, and if something is increasing, you would of course go up. If you need, you may pause the video, copy these key meaningful words onto your table, and come on back when you're ready for some examples on how to put this into practice with algebraic expressions. So, let's go ahead now and focus on how to write an algebraic expression. In other words, we're going to take words and we're going to turn them into mathematics. Now, obviously, you'll look for some key action words that's going to tell you whether you're going to add or subtract. And we know that a number less than another number means subtract. But every time we're doing algebraic expressions, I'm going to encourage you, what do you start with? And then what goes up or down. In this case, we do not start with 7. We start with some number and then take 7 less than that. Therefore, I'm going to use n for a number, subtract 7. That is how we convert words into math, convert a verbal phrase into an algebraic phrase. How about this? A number increased. Now, of course, you know increased. What do we start with? We start with some number, and then we go up by 5/10. Let's go ahead and do a few more. Difference means subtract. What do we start with? We start with the number x, it goes in order, and then we subtract 10. The sum of y and 7, what do we start with? Some number y, and sum means we're going to add 7 more. If you'd like, pause, do 3, 4, and 5 in your notebook as notes. Come on back when you're ready for the answers to be revealed. Number 3 says we start with the number z, and then we decrease it by 6. Now, please look at the difference between numbers 4 and 5. Number 4, we start with b, and then it goes down by 8. It is 8 less. b less 8. On the other hand, this is 8 less than some number c. Here we start with c and then go down by 8. So there's a big difference in the wording in the order of numbers 4 and 5. Onward we go. Here, evaluate. I could have put this in the vocabulary as a matter of fact. Focus on the word within the word. If you see the word evaluate, basically it's a fancy way of saying do all the math and find the final value. Take, for example, number 1. We have some number n and we want to add 5, but wait a second. Number n, the letter n, the variable n, we know what n is now. N is not unknown. It is 4. So we're going to go ahead and substitute that in, and naturally after that, we will compute. 4 plus 5 is 9. That's what it means to evaluate, find the final value. Take, for instance, number 2. We have some number r. Wait a second. We can substitute in the number 6 for r, and then we're going to subtract n, and we already knew that n was 4. At this point, go ahead and evaluate. 6 minus 4 is 2. Carry on with number 3. Some number r, which is 6, we're going to then add a quantity t. Well, t is 7. Let's substitute in 7. And n is 4. Now, order of operations, all add and subtract are equally strong, so we go left to right. Therefore, 6 plus 7 is 13, and 13 plus 4 is 17. Let's get down into some more complicated examples, like example number 4. Number 4, we're asked first to add two quantities, in this case 4 for n and 6 for r. Then it says take away 7. And of course, order of operations says if you have anything grouped, put them together. So 4 and 6 makes 10, and 10 takes 7 is 3. Again with number 5, substitute in your quantities first. Instead of the variable t, we're going to write in a 7. Instead of n, we'll substitute in a 4. And instead of r, we'll substitute 6. Order of operations says, hey, if you got 7, take away 4, let's take care of that group first. And then 3 plus 6 is 9. Again, pause, write down what you need, rewind if you want to rewatch it, and then we'll continue. Now we'll put it all together. We start with a verbal expression. We'll turn it to an algebraic expression, and then we will evaluate. So, verbal expression first. X decreased by, we know decrease means subtract. What do we start with? We start with some number, and then we go down 2. Let me go ahead and take this over here. Because we know what x is, we can now substitute 9 in for x. And so 9 take away 2 would give us a final answer of 7. We took the words and changed it to math. We took the math and substituted the number in, and then we evaluated. On to example B, where it says W, that's what we start with, minus will be decreasing, and some quantity R. Now in this case, up at the top, it does say W is 11, and R is 5. So when we compute this, 11 take away 5 is 6. Last but not least, for example C, it says the sum of W and W. It's almost like we do something first. We're going to add those quantities together first. Then, notice the comma, it is increased by R. So we're going to add two quantities first, increase in R. In this case, W is 11. And we have another W, so we substitute another 11. And R is 5. Of course, grouping symbols, 11 plus 11 is 22. 22 plus 5 is 27. For a final evaluated answer, for a final value of 27. Folks, that's what I have for today. So your paper is going to look something like this. Again, you may ignore the date, whatever the date is up there. And usually the assignment might be different, but in this case, everybody's going to have example 1. Can I invite you, please, at this time, whatever notes you have, draw a big old squiggly line, and let's go ahead and start up page 3. Don't forget, you're always writing the directions. Sorry for the sloppy writing. It is near the bottom. I apologize. Then, let's say we're starting with number 7. So you'll write the directions above number 7. Then you write the problem, and you write any work, and then your answer, and circle your answer. So yes, some of these problems today won't have work, but that's a rarity. Almost always they'll have work. All right, folks, that's what I have. Take care, do well, and let's grow.